Tom again here, folks. Rachel, one of our students, asked for a video on how to use the panoramic feature in Photoshop. So what I've done here is, these are a number of pictures I took in my backyard, just off the back deck, and I put the camera on a tripod and I established the exposure in the kind of middle ground that would have been around here. I set the camera onto manual setting, made sure that as I was rotating the camera on the tripod that it was going to keep a nice even level position, so that as I moved from one end of the panorama to the other, it would be about the same horizon level. And I started off here to the left, and then I took the next picture and overlapped slightly, as you can see here. These ones look slightly overexposed because I was using that manual exposure for the kind of middle ground, so it's fairly important that the exposures are all the same. So I set my manual setting on the camera and made sure the ISO was set to a fixed amount of ISO. I can't remember what I took these pictures at, but as you can see, I just rotated around here, and I put all these pictures into the one folder called stitching. And so I took 12 images, and with overlapping, as you can see, and it's getting a little bit darker here, but still it'll do the job okay. Now in Photoshop, I'll just switch to Photoshop, and I'm in Photoshop CS6 here, which is a kind of older version. What we do is we go to the File menu, and then we go to Automate, and then we go down here to this Photo Merge, and what will happen is a dialog box will come up here eventually, and I can go and choose the photos I want to use, and I can choose the layout. You can experiment with these different layouts yourself, but I'll just leave it at the automatic one here to begin with. Then I'll go and navigate to where I've got these files. So I've got them on my desktop in a folder called Stitching, and there they are. So I just need to select all of these all the way down to the 12th one and say OK, and Photoshop will put them into the setting to bring them all in, and it's going to blend these images together. And so I say OK, and this is going to take a little bit of time probably. It's going to put each of these images on its own layer, and what it's doing here is it's actually trying to match up the pixels on the overlapping sections. So there's a lot of number crunching going on here. You can imagine each of these photos has 11 million pixels or something, so a lot of work being done on the computer. It'll be chugging away here as hard as it can, and it'll get those 12 images in here, and then it'll create the final stitched up image. And it's just about to do that now, I do believe. It's still doing a bit of calculating, and it's trying to align them. And it actually has some fairly sophisticated features. There are plenty of other programs that will do this for you. In fact, even your camera software may well do it for you. And you'll find that different programs will do a different job on this, but Photoshop does it. Well, obviously Photoshop's at the high end of photographic applications, so you'd expect it to be doing a very good job. And here it will be the result any tick of the clock, and it's building up. And you can see where some of those joins are, particularly on the top and bottom edges there. It's trying to kind of work out how to make this seamless. Now, if I zoom right in on this now, you can see there's the whole image. If I zoom in, then I can travel from one end of this to the other. So I'm just using my space bar here to move through the picture, and there we have a pretty reasonable kind of a panorama. If I was very critical, for example, there in that middle area there, you can see that the pole is not actually perfectly aligned, but nevertheless, for a stitching job, it does a remarkable job, I do believe. There would be other little bits where I could fault this. I can't see any faults right now, but I'm sure if I reviewed it enough, I could find faults, but there you go. And when I get that this is still in layers, so if I wanted to now, I could just go and do a save as, and save it as a JPEG, and there's a helicopter going past, and so I could call it the untitled panorama, or I could call it backyard, and save it into that folder and give it the kind of quality I want to give it, and away we go. And now if I go into my folder there, my stitching folder, I'll just go back to my desktop again here briefly, go to the stitching and find that JPEG, and if I open it up here, it'll open it up in the Windows picture viewer, and there we are, it's viewing it. I'll just get this to fit the screen here if I can. I don't think I can actually. Anyway, you get the picture there, and so it's done a pretty good job of that. Okay.